Hello, Stephen White for SteveArts89. We've got some Picard news. There's going to be news coming out of Comic Con, we all knew that, but we've got some pre-Comic Con news. First, we got a new image of Picard, which bored the out of me. It's him walking along in the vineyards with his cane and his dog, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Yep, that's the hero I am looking forward to, hiding in a vineyard for 15 years. Yep. Cynical, okay. Then we finally got some reminders that he's actually going to do something. That this is just presumably the start. Yep, it's the start. That he's going to start off in the vineyards, but he's eventually going to be pulled back into space, and that since he's no longer in Starfleet, he's going to have to get some people together to fight some injustice. And there have been some important quotes, which I guess I should just read out. First one in a copy of Entertainment Weekly, which is available at San Diego Comic Con, which I think starts on the Friday. So it's already started. There are many things that haunt Picard, but you will not see a version that betrays the man you loved from Next Generation. So obviously if they've heard people like me bitching and moaning that they're basically creating Jake Picard, a la Last Jedi and Logan and that, and they're saying, no, we're not doing that, damage control, which makes sense because everyone's been saying it. I'm not the only one who is being negative about this show, and yes, I acknowledge I'm being negative about this show. Anyone who's watched any of my videos, and yeah, there's probably only about two, I have been very negative, and it's very easy after the dumpster fire that was Discovery, and the fact some of the same people are involved. It's very easy to be cynical. When you've been slapped in the face a few times and that person comes along, raises their hand, you expect they're going to slap you again, not, shake it or pat you on the back or something. The other quote is just basically about Patrick's acting and saying that he's even more powerful now than he was before, which is perfectly possible. And they just restate a few things, that he's haunted by the Romulus mission in the Countdown comics, which were the prequel to 2009 Star Trek film, and Nemesis as well, where we last saw him and that. So they have established, yes, it is the Romulan mission and the destruction of Romulus that he's actually haunted about, which is what we kind of knew, but they didn't quite state it exactly, I don't think. And then the other quotes, which are later on Trek Movie, I think this is all on TrekCore, because there's a few sites that are shills that get all the press. They don't necessarily get all the interviews and everything. They don't necessarily tell the truth about a lot of things or really get into some of the political side of stuff, but they do get the information before, the Access Media still gets the information for the most part before the YouTubers and the people who actually don't have a dog in the fight and can at least talk honestly about stuff. So I'm a little cynical whenever I'm looking at this stuff, especially since I've had some bad exchanges in the past with TrekMovie.com and some homophobic stuff there from the people who are running it. But I'll get into that in a video one day. But that's where I got my name, TrekBoy89, which I was using because I used to use it on there. Not that I've been using it on my videos lately because that channel, that name got killed. Back to Picard, I'm waffling. So there's some quotes. Basically, he's talking about the changing character and that he's no longer in Starfleet, and that it was a lot easier to be a great man when he had a whole infrastructure of an army behind him, and how difficult it is to fight on injustices when you are by yourself, which is where he presumably gets together this group of renegades, which is why it's sounding a lot more like the Renegades TV series, which was pitched to them, a fan series, which was pitched to them and they turned it down. It looks like they've just taken it up with Picard, which is cynical again, but we've got reason to fear that. And another thing they're talking about, I'll get to that last, but the next thing is just an extension of that quote, that we will see a character that is true to the original character, that he will not betray the character from Next Generation, and that they wanted to have the character with that level of morality and leadership that, you know, he always does the right thing no matter what, no matter how hard it is, no matter what the circumstance, and put him in a hard situation and see how he handles it. So that is looking better, because it sounds like they actually have a clue as to who he is and they want to maintain that integrity, not turn him into a cynical, broken, so many things that you can worry about him turning into and them doing after some of the things that have happened to other characters in our franchises. And then the other thing they get into is the serialized nature, which they just point out again. And I was thinking, yeah, serialized stories do not work for Star Trek. I mean, if you want to binge the whole thing, like, I would do that. I would watch a whole Star Trek series in a weekend or a day or something. Not everyone does that, or they maybe do it once. They don't go back to it. Whereas the old episodic episodes, people could just watch an episode, or if an episode was on, they could just watch it. This is not the same. You can only watch it one way, and you have to commit to the whole thing. And a lot of people don't. I have friends who love Discovery, and they've watched it once, and they haven't gone back to it because they don't remember a specific episode. There's nothing they're drawn back to. It's like the whole thing is a memory, and I guess if they're going to do the whole thing, they do the whole thing again, but who has time for that? So the new series isn't, and I don't think we'll get the kind of repeat viewing and long life that the other series have had, because you can watch one episode of Next Gen randomly and be drawn back into the whole thing and enjoy it again. You can't really do that with Discovery. So even though there's less episodes per season, and a binge of a season of that show is about half the length of the Next Gen or original series, but that's something else that I've noticed just in the last year or two talking to Star Trek fans. None of the Star Trek Discovery fans, none of them are really returning to the show, and they're not really living with the show. It's not staying with them. Something they did once that was good, that they'll say, oh yeah, I love that show, and then they never bought a piece of merchandise, never watched it again, and can't remember what happened. What one friend was like, what happened in the last episode? And he had to sort of put it on for a minute, and he was like, I can't remember what happened in the last episode. Like, he started to watch it a bit, and he's like, I don't have time for this, and he just left it and has no idea how the series ended. I'm like, that's the future of Star Trek fans. Normies who really don't care, don't have any commitment, aren't buying merchandise, and I'm so cynical with Star Trek. I've realised, mostly in this video, I can't say a damn good thing about the show anymore. And it's not entirely my fault. I think I've got like post-traumatic Trek stress or something from the war, the Klingon War, and all the other crap Discovery did to me. But yeah. So Picard, yes, we've got one new image. That's pretty much what we've already seen. It's just the front of him. in the preview poster, we saw the back of him and the dog. Now we see the front of him and the dog. Whether that's all they've got, because it's basically the first couple of episodes is him just sitting around wallowing and being traumatized, or whether that was just the first day and they had some people on to do, promo shots, and they just did a whole bunch and moved on with the show, and they just don't have a lot to actually show promo wise. I don't know if they didn't make a lot of effort, or if they're just doling it out really slowly, because they don't have that long. The show is, I think it's supposed to air in December, and July is almost over, so you might want to start getting more images out, and I guess that's what Comic-Con is for. I guess they're saving it for that, and once they've done that, I'm guessing it's going to be a more consistent flow of information and images and stuff, but not necessarily. They might just give them a tiny little bit and then still leave it to the last minute, because they might be rushing with the production, because they did start late and they did have to rush it, and they do have some budget issues after Netflix left and Amazon came in and all the drama and politics. I'm sure they had to simplify the story and pull it back a bit, I reckon. And I think we're going to get Picard family, the series basically for the bulk of it, and the time he actually spends in space and actually any action or any real complicated things will be towards the end, I think. And it's only 10 episodes, so it's probably only a few episodes where we're really going to be out doing, and stuff's going to happen. It's going to be a long burn, slow burn, I think. But that's all I know about Picard. I'm just waiting for all the other information to come out of the panels and that. But thanks for viewing, and I'm sorry for my cynicism. I'm going to try and be more optimistic, because that is the spirit of Star Trek. this shit ain't Star Trek. So it's hard to do that. But please feel free to like, subscribe, and comments. Any information you know or any opinions, please let me know. I love to read what other people think. That's why I watch everyone else's videos and why I make my own, because I like to talk. Thanks. Bye.